Welcome back to another episode of Your Brain on Learning. Today we're going to be talking all about forgetting, and the irony of this is that I almost forgot to do this segment. I had to email this to myself out of fear of forgetting, but don't worry, there is science on our side to explain just how fast we forget and why. So let's jump into this topic and see where it takes us. That's right, you heard it, a brand new intro song, because why not? So, we all know about learning curves, but did you know that there was a forgetting curve? Maybe you did, and you forgot. Well, the forgetting curve is a real thing. There's science that talks about how fast we forget. We spend so much of our time reading and studying in the hopes of acquiring new knowledge that we don't realize that that bucket we're trying to fill is actually filled with holes. In my opinion, this phenomenon should be called leaky bucket syndrome, but it's actually called the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve. So imagine being a German psychologist with all of this amazing knowledge and having a curiosity about why we forget things. Then take that to the next level and decide to run a study on yourself. How complicated would that be? Well, that's exactly what Ebbinghaus tried to do. He was actually successful in doing this. Not only did he try to run a study on himself, he did so for quite a few years. He worked really hard to get words from paper into his memory, and he would repeatedly test himself on these different time periods, and then he would record the results. And as he recorded them, he recognized a steep decline just between 1 and 31 days. And that's where this forgetting curve comes from. What makes Ebbinghaus even more amazing is that he set new standards for psychology experiments. He incorporated modern concepts like controlled stimulus materials, counterbalancing of time of day effects, and guarding against optional stopping. Essentially, he was a pioneer in statistical data analysis and helped model findings in a concise mathematical way. So, understanding that there's a chance you're going to forget a lot of what I'm saying today, I want to jump into the ways that you can reduce your forgetting rate. I honestly thought that I had a really high forgetting rate, but the good news is that most people do. Ebbinghaus explored some ways that you can reduce the rate of your forgetting, so that way the curve is not nearly as steep as what he had discovered initially. I can't say I'm surprised about this first one on his list, which is building meaningful memories. The better that you understand information coming into your mind that you want to remember, it'll be a lot easier to recall that information. So Ebbinghaus suggests fostering better memory representation by using mnemonic techniques, which many people are familiar with mnemonic devices. These are structured strategies that will help better memorize and just remember things that are associated with an event or even a location for some individuals. And for those of you that think cramming is going to be a helpful and successful way to achieve your goals, I know that you know this isn't the best practice. There's something called spaced repetition, and Ebbinghaus discussed this a little bit more. What spaced repetition does is it focuses on your active recall. So spacing out how often you're learning something actually reduces your forgetting rate. And that's because of the spacing effect, which shows that much more information is encoded into your long-term memory. And better so, when you avoid cramming everything you want to learn in one session, which is called mass practice, and you use a spaced study session instead, you will have significantly better results overall in what you're able to retain in the long term. The spacing effect has been extensively studied, and it's one of the few evidence-based learning strategies that you can completely rely on. This third one on the list, and also the last one on Ebbinghaus's list of ways to improve that forgetting curve or decrease the curve really, is practicing overlearning. It sounds wild, right? Like, why would you overlearn something? Well, Ebbinghaus defined overlearning as the number of repetitions of information after which it can be recalled with perfect accuracy. Overlearning consists in reviewing newly acquired knowledge beyond the initial point of mastery. And way back in 1992, there was a meta analysis that was done. Researchers actually found that overlearning can indeed significantly affect recall over time. However, more recent research suggests that the effects of overlearning tend to not last nearly as long. So take this with a grain of salt and really focus on that spaced repetition instead. The biggest takeaway from all of this research and everything I've told you, which hopefully you won't forget, is that Ebbinghaus only used himself as a sample size in his research, and it's important to consider that different ways of learning, different contexts and contents may vary between individuals. So take time to evaluate your learning styles, take a couple of those fun quizzes online to learn what really works for you, and adapt the way that you're learning new information to ensure it's going to stick around as long as you want it to. Okay, everyone. With overlearning on the mind, let's take a quick break and hear from today's episode's sponsor. Diversity, equity, and inclusion work is getting a bad reputation, but that's because it's not being done right, says Dr. James Rogers. He is a colleague of mine that is at the forefront of diversity and inclusion. He is a thought leader, and I want to take this time to let everyone know about his awesome book he's launching. It's titled Diversity Training That Generates Real Change. I highly recommend you check it out on Amazon. It's also part of the Amazon Book Club. Let's change the world one book at a time. Welcome back. Let's move away from the bummer of forgetfulness and talk a little bit about how memories are formed. Memories are so cool, and understanding how they're formed can help us understand why they're easily forgotten. So, memory is the reactivation of a specific group of neurons that are formed from persistent changes in the strength of connections between neurons. I mean, obviously, right? Some of you are probably wondering, what the heck is she talking about? Well, we're going to jump a little bit deeper into what allows those specific combinations of neurons to be reactivated over and over and over. And the simple answer is something known as synaptic plasticity. Simply put, the connections that are made stronger or weaker depending on when and how often they're being activated is something known as synapses, essentially the strength of connections between brain cells. The active connections tend to be a bit stronger, whereas those that aren't used as often are weaker and can eventually disappear entirely. ... Enter the forgetting curve. But we already talked about that. At least I think we did. Maybe I forgot. There is some super cool research out there about increasing neurogenesis. And in humans, exercise has been shown to increase the volume of the hippocampus where this neurogenesis is happening. Hint, hint, take a look at my first episode that talks about how your brain reacts to exercise, or your brain on exercise, if you will. So this exercise suggests new neurons to be created, and at the same time, it improves performance and memory tasks. So again, take that 30-minute walk. So what's really neat about neurons is that they have these different ensembles, almost like unique dance partners that are associated with different memories. How they interact with each other activates different memories, and certain neurons become active in more or less a particular sequence. How cool is that? So if you think of your cat or your home or maybe that delicious birthday cake, different ensembles or groups of neurons are becoming activated. They're hearing that thing, that special song that goes, hey, let's dance together, and bring up an awesome memory filled with all this goodness and all these feelings and endorphins. And it's really cool to see how this works. So as a 5-year-old, if you're given the word house, you might have imagined a really unique drawing of a house. Or for my son, maybe a really cool UFO or whatever a home means to you. So as an adult, though, hearing that same word, you might picture your own house or some kind of different response for that same input. This is because your experience and your memories have changed the connections between those neurons, making the old house ensemble less likely to occur than the new house ensemble of neurons. All right, here's that obvious part of research where I'm going to tell you to do something you already know you should be doing. This is related to sleep. Sleep is another important factor for memory storage because during sleep, the hippocampus and the neocortex take part in a carefully choreographed dialogue in which the hippocampus replays recent events. The same hippocampal neurons activate during an experience become activated again during slow wave sleep, over and over in a time-compressed manner, helping to update the neocortex as to what needs to be stored. Basically going through your mind and deciding, what do we stick in that recycling bin? This replay only occurs during sleep, so if you are missing out on sleep, you're also missing out on letting your brain consolidate memories appropriately. Let's let some of these new memories we've just created solidify by taking a quick break. I just wanted to plug a foundation that means a lot to me. It's called the Battle Buddy Foundation. It was founded by combat veterans. It is a nonprofit organization. They're dedicated to helping combat veterans transition back to civilian life while living with the effects of PTSD and traumatic brain injuries. It's a fantastic foundation. Please take a look at it. Donate if possible. Volunteer where you can. It goes to a great cause. Honestly, anything is appreciated. Even if you're just spreading the word, you never know who it may be impacting close to you. Welcome back for this final stretch of today's episode of Your Brain on Learning. We're primarily focusing on memory and unfortunately forgetting as well. But we're going to wrap up this episode by talking about the 11 foods that will boost your brain and your memory. I'm actually going to start from the end of this list, starting with number 11 because I love this item on the list. It is green tea. Just like coffee, green tea boosts brain function. In fact, it's been found to improve alertness, performance, memory, and focus. It also has some other components that make it a brain-healthy beverage. One of them is something known as L-theanine. It's actually an amino acid that can cross the blood-brain barrier, and it increases the activity of neurotransmitter GABA, which helps reduce anxiety, and it'll actually help you feel more relaxed. It's a very easy way to implement something into your life that will make you feel a little bit better each day and contribute to improved performance and memory. Number 10 on Healthline's list of 11 foods to boost your brain and memory are eggs. They are a great source of a lot of different nutrients that are tied to brain health, including vitamins B6 and B12. There's folate and choline as well. For those of you who are not familiar with choline, it is an important micronutrient that your body uses to create acetylcholine, which is a neurotransmitter that helps regulate mood and memory. So win-win. They actually did a really cool study on this now that I'm thinking about it. Irony, right? I just remembered this. But there were 2 older studies that found that higher intakes of choline were actually linked to better memory and mental function. So people are just not getting enough choline in their diet, and this is a great way to do so. Eating eggs is an easy way to get this, given that the yolk of the egg is among the most concentrated source of this nutrient. Number 9 on this list is easy peasy orange squeezy. With summer around the corner, this one's easy to do. You can get almost all the vitamin C you need in a day by eating one medium orange. And doing so is important for brain health since vitamin C is a key factor in preventing mental decline. There was one study done that having higher levels of vitamin C in the blood was associated with improvements in tasks involving focus, memory, attention, and even decision speed. Man, I could really use a little decision speed in my life. I don't know about you. Number 8 on this list is a snack that I have every day. This is nuts. Research has shown that eating nuts can improve heart health markers, and having a healthy heart is, of course, linked to having a healthy brain. There was a study that found that regular consumption of nuts could be linked to lower risk of cognitive decline in older adults as well. As another study that focused on women who were eating nuts regularly over the course of several years, they found that they had sharper memory compared with those who did not. There are a lot of nutrients in nuts, such as healthy fats, antioxidants, and vitamin E, which may explain their beneficial impact on the brain. Now, I may be cheating the system a little bit on number 7 because it's dark chocolate. I do like dark chocolate covered almonds, so win-win there. If you need a good snack that knocks out 2 of these 11, that is the perfect one. When I'm saying dark chocolate, I'm referencing that 70% or greater cocoa content. Dark chocolate and cocoa powder are packed with a few brain-boosting compounds, including flavonoids, caffeine, and even antioxidants. If you're not familiar with what flavonoids are, they are a group of antioxidants that are made from plant compounds. The flavonoids in chocolate gather in the areas of the brain that deal with learning and memory. Again, I highly recommend eating some dark chocolate almonds throughout your day. It'll help you significantly. I've noticed a difference. Researchers actually believe that these compounds may enhance your memory, and they also will help slow down age-related mental decline. I mean, what better excuse to eat chocolate than to help your learning and memory? Who's going to fight you on that one? For those of you who are a fan of pumpkin seeds, you are also in luck here because number 6 is in fact pumpkin seeds. They contain powerful antioxidants that protect the body and the brain from free radical damage. They're also an excellent source of magnesium, iron, zinc, and copper, and each of these nutrients is important to brain health for a few different reasons. For example, zinc. Zinc is an element that is crucial for nerve signaling. Having a zinc deficiency has been linked to a lot of different neurological conditions, including Alzheimer's disease, depression, and even Parkinson's disease. While we're on the topic of nerve signaling, copper is also something found in pumpkin seeds. Copper can actually be used in the brain to help control nerve signals. And when copper levels are a bit out of whack, there's a higher risk of neurodegenerative disorders like Alzheimer's. Specific to learning and memory, there is magnesium in pumpkin seeds. This is essential for learning and memory. Low magnesium levels are linked to a lot of neurological diseases, including migraines, depression, and even epilepsy. If you have ever experienced brain fog, and if you have, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about, or if you've had another form of impaired brain function, this could be due to an iron deficiency, and luckily pumpkin seeds will help you combat that. Now, this can't come in the form of the pumpkin spice lattes we all love, but pumpkin seeds will help you significantly at improving your learning and your memory, in addition to fighting off some of those unfortunately well-known diseases. This next one's not nearly as exciting as pumpkin seeds, but we have broccoli on the list, making it number 5 of our 11. It's packed with powerful plant compounds, including those amazing antioxidants I've mentioned previously. Just 1 cup of cooked broccoli a day delivers more than 100% of your recommended daily intake of vitamin K. Oh my gosh, sounds so easy, right? The coolest part about vitamin K is that it's a fat-soluble vitamin, and it's essential because it creates the same type of fat that's densely packed into brain cells. Gosh, that's amazing. Just a cup of cooked broccoli. Who knew, right? For those of you who have seen that deep yellow spice that is in curry powder, it has a number of benefits for the brain. That yellow spice is known as turmeric and it's number 4 on our list. It generates a lot of buzz. So curcumin, which is the active ingredient in turmeric, has been shown to cross the blood-brain barrier, something we mentioned earlier on our list. That means it can directly enter the brain and benefit the cells there. What's even cooler is that it's potent in antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds, which can help the brain in a few ways. It can benefit memory, it can ease depression, it can even help new brain cells grow. How cool. And if you're new to using turmeric, there are a lot of recipes online. They are fantastic. You will notice a difference in how your body feels and also, apparently, how your brain feels as well. With summer knocking on our doors, number 3 is so perfect for this time of year. Number 3 is blueberries. Blueberries provide numerous health benefits, including some that are specifically linked to your brain health. Blueberries and other deeply colored berries are a group of plant compounds with anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effects. Antioxidants, which I've mentioned a few times, they act against both oxidative stress and inflammation. These are conditions that can contribute to brain aging and neurodegenerative diseases. I like to think of blueberries as the chatty fruit, meaning that some of these antioxidants in blueberries have been found to accumulate in the brain and they improve communication between the brain cells. Actually, one study they did showed that blueberries could help improve memory and certain cognitive processes in children and adults. How amazing is that? Add them into your breakfast cereal, throw them into oatmeal, put them in a smoothie, or just enjoy them as a simple snack. But either way, this berry has it going on. Most things can be good in moderation, meaning number 2, which is coffee, basically the staple of most of our lives. Coffee is the highlight of most of our mornings, so you'll be really grateful to hear that it's also good for your brain. There are 2 main components in coffee, the caffeine and the antioxidants, which also support brain health. Many of us already know that the caffeine in coffee can have a positive effect on our brain. This includes increased alertness, obviously improved moods, and even sharpened concentration. There was a study done that had found caffeine consumption led to short-term improvements in attention and alertness in the participants that were completing a cognition test. So drinking coffee over the long term is also linked to a reduced risk of neurological diseases like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. The largest risk reduction was seen in those adults who consume 3 to 4 cups a day. This could be partly due to coffee's high concentration of those antioxidants. So don't feel bad drinking that cup of coffee. Just do it in moderation. The number 1 food on our list of the 11 that boost your brain and memory are fatty fish. Everyone knows that fatty fish is often at the top of the list. Sorry, we saved it for last. It's not nearly as exciting as pumpkin seeds, blueberries, and coffee, but fatty fish is super important. So to drop some numbers on you real quick, about 60% of your brain is made of fat, and half of that fat is comprised of omega-3 fatty acids. When your brain is using omega-3s to build brain and nerve cells, these fats are going to be essential for developing your learning and memory. Of course, fatty fish is high in omega-3s, and there are also additional benefits for your brain. One is that it can slow age-related mental decline and even help ward off Alzheimer's disease. On the flip side of that, not getting enough omega-3s is linked to learning impairments as well as depression. Now, some of you may know that the brain has gray matter. Basically, the gray matter contains most of the nerve cells that control decision-making, memory, and emotion. There's been some research done that suggests that people who eat fish regularly tend to have more gray matter in their brains. Obviously, what we're eating and putting in our body plays a key role in keeping our brain healthy and improving specific mental tasks such as memory, concentration, learning, and helps us fight off that forgetting curve I talked about earlier in case you may have forgotten. I know you've buckled up for quite the journey today, and I appreciate you staying with me. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up today's episode and let you get on to snacking with these delicious foods because they're on my mind, so I'm thinking they're probably on yours as well. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to our next episode. If you have suggestions or feedback, happy to take that. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. My name is Catherine Winchek. I am also on TikTok. My username is @thebrainandbody. I look forward to seeing what you all have to say. Take care and make good decisions.